It's 11:59 at Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Yeah, welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern. We talk about guns for an hour. And it is Monday, right?
Yep.
We're on the road for a few days. So it's Monday, 17th. And on Mondays, we talk about how the stuff works, like behind the scenes and things like that. So digging into the notes here, looks like we're going to talk about two-way social media, how to podcast, and we'll talk about the road trip and anything else that might come up. So before we get into it, let's see who else here. We got a couple people jumping in from all around the country. We got David jumping in from Florida. Thanks for joining us.
Not a problem. Glad to have you safe and out and about.
Yep. We got Dead Horse jumping in from Utah.
Howdy.
Dano might be away from Illinois. He's away from his computer. And then we got Woods. Oh, there he is. And then we got Woods jumping in from the Pacific Northwest.
Thanks for the link, man.
PNW, as they like to abbreviate it up there. Yeah, you bet. Thanks for jumping in. Got links out to a couple other people who are regulars on the show over on the gun channels, of course. And then I posted a link on our Patreon's page as well. So anybody who's a Patreon, if you want to jump in, more than welcome. And let's see. So, people, I guess. Fuck. Right off the bat. People, I guess. See, that's why YouTube's weird. What's going on over there? Remember, I have 0% tolerance, especially when I'm on the road. So, no, this is not my channel. All right, so enough maintenance over on the YouTube side. Anything going on? You want to talk about before we get into it? No.
Oh, I heard someone went to Hornady. That's what I'm looking for to talking about.
It's the Iowa leg.
What the fuck? So thanks, fucking. Let's talk about Dragon Man. Yeah, all right. So Dragon Man is in Colorado Springs, and it's one of the best museums out there. It's really his collection. Yeah, pretty good. I got to see the whole tour this time. First time I went there was an abbreviated one. And this time I got to see the whole 2+ hour tour.
What are the parts of this one that you did last time, Drew?
What?
Oh, what were the parts that you enjoyed that you didn't see last time that you did see this time?
Oh, dude, last time I didn't even see anything. I saw like 2 rooms. This time we saw 2.5 hours worth of rooms. So I only barely saw a taste of it. We walked in and walked out. So I didn't even, and it was black and white.
Is he still doing the tours personally, G-Webs, or does he have someone that is doing them now for him?
Well, that's a good question. So that whole time, that would have been a lot to talk, right, for anybody. So he basically, there's his, I don't know who he is. He's from the Army. So I don't know if he just works near there, if he knows him for a long time. Nobody asked him that question, but there was another dude who was like tag teaming with him. So they'd go into like one room and one of them would would run it, and then the next room, the next one would run it. And it's a big place, so they're like turning on and off lights and stuff. So they were kind of not just whatever you call the narration, but also figuring out like which lights are on and getting people. So there's a lot of people in the group, so making sure everybody's like through the room and into the next room kind of thing. It's sort of there's like a Nazi room, there's like a World War II. Well, World War II is a lot of it, but then there's like a room for different campaigns. Vietnam has a couple, Afghanistan, Iraq, Korea, and then he's got other stuff also. So there's like partitioned up into different areas or whatever.
Do you have any idea how he was able to create all this financially? I mean,
well, somebody asked him that this time, and he said before Colorado legalized marijuana, him and his son used to sell marijuana to high school kids.
Okay.
And then somebody's like, did you want to know anything else? And then somebody said, yeah, the truth. So I don't know. He's probably, I think he said he was like in the motorcycles or something when he was in New Jersey or New York, wherever he comes from. And then they came out, and I mean, he's restored, I don't know how many military vehicles he has, but it's an impressive amount. And he has them restored nicely, like they're restored well. And then he's got, what do you call it, like hot rod cars from like the 50s, with the engines sticking out the front.
Muscle cars.
No, not muscle cars, like hot rods, like 50s. Right? So like where you take the front off and you just have your engine sticking out front, but like not necessarily old ones. He has old ones, but he also has like brand new Corvette engines and shit on old cars like that. So he does just crazy kind of mods and refurbishings and stuff. So I'm assuming he's done stuff like that. I mean, people that want a car refurbished, well, pay good money for that, right? But I have no idea. He only charges $15 to go in the museum. That's nothing. And then you give him either a $20 bill in there as a tip at the end. But there's no way that he pays for that. A lot of the stuff is donated to the museum.
Is he the only curator, like the only guy who's like going through and setting it? Like, does he do all that himself, or does he hire guys to do that?
No, it's his collection, dude. In fact, he talked about how for a while he was going to be a museum, and then they called him. We want 2 bathrooms, we want concrete floors, we want this, that, and the other thing. And he's like, "Nah, it wasn't worth it." So he's just a dude. He's just a guy with his collection.
Yeah, and what's really cool. Oh, I'm sorry, Woods.
Oh, go ahead, man.
A lot of the units that are fighting over in Afghanistan and have fought in Kuwait and Iraq have donated to his museum.
Right. He knows guys in different kinds of cool units that can get stuff that, oh yeah, super good. That you can get all kinds of neat stuff that nobody else has yet or has. And then people donate a lot to his thing. Like he has a deal where if you have a uniform that you've taken a picture in somewhere and want to donate it to him, he'll put the uniform up on one of his mannequins with the picture. He's got another thing for anybody with a Purple Heart that wants to do the same. So he's got like a whole area that's just Purple Hearts and uniforms. So imagine that's like all different kinds of peoples and different kind of ages and stuff. So there's all different kinds of uniforms and stuff there.
I'm assuming his collection has employees, correct? I mean, there's like people that work there, or is it just him?
It's on his property, so it's like in his garage, you could say. Except his garage is like 80,000 square feet or whatever that is. But I don't know. He says he'll bring like he employs guys from the bases around there, the forts around there, if they need extra work or something. But I don't know. It's a good question. I asked one of the guys last time, like, "Hey, what's it like to work with him?" He's like, "Oh, it's a great job."
Oh yeah, that's kind of where I was going. I was like, that's like the ultimate job for all the people on the panel and everybody listening, right?
Well, I think he has a like a motocross track and like a go-kart track or something out there too, right? That's open to the public.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's like 3 miles of dirt bike track. You pay $10 and you ride all day, or it's like $25 for the year or something crazy. There's a paintball field and you can rent stuff from them, or it's like $10 for the whole day or something crazy. His range is $10 for the whole day.
So he's probably keeping the kids in the area, like whoever's taking tickets for the go-karts or whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
it's motorcycles, right?
Yeah.
Motocross or whatever. But the thing is, you drive from Colorado Springs out to his place. It's maybe like 20 minutes from the city out to his place, maybe more. Just driving east, and you pass 3 different motocross. It must be super big in Colorado, driving around on motorcycles. So I don't even know if he's the last one, but you pass at least 3 on the way to his place, like 3 like giant places that are just giant tracks. But I have no idea how big of a thing. I don't know if there's probably about 7 cars in Colorado that aren't 4-wheel drive, I think, if you don't count mine driving.
I've seen pictures of like a diner inside of his. Is that like? Can you get food there, or is that just for show?
No, he's really into Elvis in the 50s, so like a good chunk of his museum is those hot rods, and then he's got, gas pumps. I think he's got like every gas pump that ever existed. I'm not even
Yeah,
kidding.
those glass top ones.
Yeah, like everything from the first days of whatever the first one. I wouldn't be surprised if he has every single one, just because they're everywhere. He's got like Coke machines and cigarette machines from bars and stuff, and like diners, and tons of those. Like dozens of those. Most of them are different, I think. And then like records and those like pedal cars, like little kids in a big, like a little metal,
Yep.
those stupid plastic shit. Like he has a ton of those little metal cars. He's got to have 100 or more of those. He's got a whole room that's just those. So anyway, all that stuff is in like black and white checkered disco lights going, like 50s room, and that's like one of his passions, I think. So you see a lot of that in the pictures of his thing, but it's not like, his house, if you look at a video of his house, like where he lives, it looks like a 50s diner. Like his house going into a museum, it's like a 50s diner. So if you've seen any of those pictures, I'm sure you might think, oh shit, there's food there, but I don't think there's anything like food there.
And he seems really sharp. He seems like he knows about, like, like you could ask him about any uniform or any little thing, and he'd be like, "Oh, that was made in 1942," and he'd be able to tell you all about it. Like he seems to really know, like the videos I've seen. It seems like he
that's
talks
why
about every little thing.
That's why it's more of an experience than anything else. You walk through there, and there's, I don't know how many people. I must have a picture somewhere. How many people are in the group? Maybe 30 people in the group, like more than would fit in any of the rooms. So with 30 people, you got, the interested guy that was there, and then like his mom and some other guy, some other lady. So there's like a couple of 2 or 3 people that could care less, and then there's a bunch of us who are eating it up. So those people that were like straggling didn't really care that they were missing stuff, I guess. But let me look at a picture here. So however many people are in there, they're gonna, he'll say, "Do you have any questions?" So he'll say a couple of things, I'm sure, that are kind of, things he normally would address or point out, and interesting things. He has like a belt buckle. It's one of 15 belt buckles that Nazis, Hitler's guards used, like a belt buckle that had bullets in it, like a little gun. And he's real happy about that because nobody else has those. So I'm sure there's things like that he'll talk about. Like Saddam Hussein had a sword next to his bed, and he's got that. So he'll talk about that. But you got, I don't know, maybe 20 people in there in your group that are going to ask different questions. So somebody's in there, like 2 of the guys in there were Vietnam guys. So they had different specific questions about his Nam stuff. And I don't know if he gets many Korean War vets in there, but anyway, the opportunities for questions are always going to be different. Plus, like I've been in there twice now, walking around, and I think you can tell from the pictures, it's not like you're in a museum where there's like, here's the glass case that has all this stuff labeled or anything. I mean, a lot of the stuff's labeled, but it's just you're walking through his collection of stuff in his garage. So there's no way to count how much things there are to look at. So even if you didn't listen to him and you just looked at different things every time, it would take you dozens of times walking through it just to see it all, just to even see how much stuff there is to see. But just like think about like C rations and like medical stuff that comes out of World War II things. He's got all of that, everything. Like, so if you were into anything, footwear, he has every single gas mask the United States has ever had, plus a whole bunch of foreign ones. So if you were into gas masks, you could just go through that tour and just absorb that stuff every time. I'm into AK bayonets, right? So I was amazed at how many of them are just sprinkled all over the freaking place, everywhere, tons of them. And they're mostly Romanian, but still, it was like just, I could go through that place probably 3 more times just to discover all the AK bayonets laying around. I'm not even into like German stuff. So if you're into German stuff, it's going to be insane. If you're into U.S. military stuff from like World War II, I mean, he has things that you just can't find. He's got like $500 packs of cigarettes, 3 of them. It's that neat stuff. So he gets his stuff from other collectors and museums and stuff. But yeah, not only does he know everything, it's just his stuff, but he attempts to complete collections and acquire things specifically. So he's got
Now,
stories.
if you just ran into that guy on the street, would you suspect that he had any of that stuff? With like, he doesn't look like that kind of guy. The way he dresses and everything, he doesn't look like he has that kind of money, right? He looks just like a normal guy.
No, he doesn't look like a normal guy. He looks like a crazy biker.
Or okay, I'll give you that.
You're never just going to see Dragon Man standing around. He's going to be like in a Humvee or like in his up armored Jeep thing, like oh man, he's got so many Jeeps, dude. So he tells you the story of the Jeep, right? As you get into his cars and his automobiles, I don't even know how many automobiles he has. 35 restored military vehicles or something. It's insane. Like he's got every half track, I think he said. But for Jeeps, you get over to the Jeep corner, and he talks about how the Jeeps were invented originally, and what they thought they were going to need them for, and they were going to do trials, and then they were like, let's not bother with the trials. They seem to work. Why don't you just make 40,000 and you make 20,000? And then like Ford and Willys or whoever started making them, and then and he goes over. He's like, oh, and this is a rare one because blah blah blah. Before they change the thing, and then you put a roll bar on it, and that's the one he drives around. So I guess for a while they were making Jeeps that would flip over, so they deliberately cut them all in half when they got rid of them. And so he got 2 of them and put them back together. So he's just, it's crazy. So there's so much stuff to learn. Like say, every time you go in there, you could probably just the vehicles alone. Talking to him about ambulances, talk to him about Dodge versus Ford. It's hilarious. So anyway,
came up with his nickname, Dragon Man.
Oh yeah, he's got this crazy bike, like a motorcycle that looks like something between a parade and like just some biker on acid, just a crazy fiberglass like dragon thing built off of a Harley. So it like wraps up around like a Batmobile thing they would put in like the 60s Batman show. It kind of looks like what they would make like a bat cycle, except that it's a dragon. And that's why they call him Dragon Man. He used to drive around on that thing, I guess. He still got it. Like you walk past it as you go into the museum. But that's why they call him Dragon Man.
I'm assuming it actually breathes fire.
Huh?
I'm assuming he has it set up to breathe fire somehow.
He's got to, yeah, I'm sure. But anyway, all I'm saying is you would never just be like, oh, I wonder who that guy is. Like Dragon Man, I'm sure makes himself aware. Like everyone knows he's Dragon Man when he's in the area. But no, you would never know that he's got such an impressive collection of stuff. And I don't even know how he keeps track of it. Because like I say, you're asking about, unlike a museum where, I don't know, some procurement might happen or something, and now all of a sudden it's in inventory and the curator is just responsible for it. I mean, he's just a dude out there making these deals and making arrangements, and he's got suppliers and people that buy for him and stuff. So like I say, he's definitely aware of each of the items that he has. And I can't even imagine if you went in there and had a specific thing, like say that you were interested in, like I'm interested in the ammo cans, like ammo boxes. I was working on that stuff on the ammo buyer's guide. So I was taking a bunch of pictures of ammo cans now that I have a little more insight onto the evolution of ammo cans and ammo boxes. I mean, it's amazing what he's got in there. So, I mean, I couldn't even, it's going to take me 3 times through there just to take pictures of all the ammo cans and ammo boxes I want. And he's, like I'll go online and find like, here's a drawing of what it should look like. Dragon Man's got it. Here's what it would look like if it was unopened. Dragon Man has 6 of them unopened. So yeah, that's Dragon Man, and like I say, it's an experience. There's no glass cabinets for like that Nazi belt buckle, right? It's probably worth $1 billion. He has that behind glass. The sword that they found next to Saddam Hussein's fucking bed. It's just sitting there. Pick it up and play with it if you want. Like those 50 BMG spotters that I have that look like a little short 50 BMG with a red and yellow tip, but the case is like half as long as a regular 50 BMG. That's to put on a recoilless rifle, and it mimics the what do you call it, the ballistic, whatever, of the, I'm trying to say, like the trajectory of the recoilless rifle, right? And I've known of that, but he's got like 5 of them. He's got, one just sitting there, one sitting there with like a setup for a display, and another one on a vehicle, another one on a vehicle. So it's basically a recoilless rifle, whatever size those things are, huge giant cannon with this like 50 BMG thing without any handguards or anything, kind of like strapped to the top of it. So, now I've touched one. All right, what's going on?
This is a dog traveling.
Yeah, she's doing pretty good. She's liking it. I think she's got the routine down. Sit around every once in a while, get out and sniff and pee. Sit around some more.
So pretty much a regular dog life.
Yeah, no, she's loving it. She gets to see her people all the time. She knows where I'm at. She's getting used to oh, he goes in here now, and then he comes back with something to drink. Okay, you got that. Oh, okay, now I'm gonna get out and pee. So we're seeing nothing much on the YouTube side. So what's happening on the gun channel side? What's it like to walk around Colorado unarmed? I have no idea what it's like to walk around Colorado unarmed. Why would I do that? No idea why I would do that. So why would I be opium carrying? You can carry concealed in Colorado. So I don't know what Clay's asking about over there. But I will have to deal with that going into Illinois. So that will suck. Also, Minnesota was the 2 states I won't be able to carry in. Anyway, so that's a little bit about the thing, about the tour. Got to meet up with Chris, who everybody knows from the Daily Gun Show Showdowns up in Denver. That was pretty neat. And it turns out, I was describing him my trip up to, how come I see Cycle Camp over there, but I don't see him over here? I was explaining to him my trip up to Denver, and it turns out I was on a road that was adjacent to a whole bunch of gun shops, but you don't see them from the main road, which is annoying. And I wasn't using my Google Maps skills enough or something. Oh, there he is. So I'm definitely looking forward to another trip up there. Now that I have now that I've seen what it's like to get up to Denver, I'm hoping to get up there for that antique gun show next year, at least. All right, so that's enough on the tour. Let's talk about the topics of the show. How much of the show is left anymore? Half an hour. What is your approach to handling posts by your friends that are shares of other people's posts that you don't agree with? So talking about social media today, what is your approach to handling posts that your friends do that are shares of other people you don't like? So you guys have seen people like share a lot of times on Instagram. I'm assuming people do that on Facebook all the time still. But when people share stuff that's by somebody you don't like, does that ever happen? Is that an issue?
Rarely, because I really don't care. Like for me, most of my social media is just gun and firearm stuff. So when I repost something from someone I don't particularly care for, I really don't care because it ends up being a gun pick or something anyway. So it doesn't affect me none. I don't care. It doesn't bother me none who someone else likes or doesn't like.
I run into that quite a bit, being that, being a teacher and all, having a lot of friends that are more towards leaning left. So I think a lot of times, if they're going to post something, I can comment on it. You have to be respectful. It's more of a discussion than a you suck kind of thing, or like, making it a big deal.
Very rarely do I ever respond to anything like that. I don't care to. They're entitled to their wrong opinion. I usually just ignore it.
I'm on Facebook, so it's not an issue. Period.
Yeah, I don't watch Facebook either. I see it more on Instagram than anywhere else. Every once in a while on main page of Gun Channel, somebody will post something.
I'm a Facebook guy, and because I don't like do Instagram and all that other stuff that much. And basically, I have a lot of liberal friends or progressive friends or whatever you want to call it. And if they post something themselves, then I might respond to them because it's them. If they put something up, if they're just forwarding something from some other place, if it's a group, I go under the covers and say I don't want to ever see any shit from that group again. And they can post that stuff to their blue in the face, and I'll never see it.
Oh, okay. So in other words, you're seeing their feed, but you can filter the feed so that you only see the stuff that you feel like watching from the feed.
Right. When they say so and so, followed a post or something, and you've got that post in front of you, and say it's like some leftist nut job organization, where you normally go and say, don't show me this ad, all that kind of stuff. There's usually a slot in there. If you look around, it says, I don't want to see posts from so and so again, and it's the person that came through them, not them themselves. And I'll do that. Now, if it's an individual, I might get involved. I might have a discussion. But if it's like the Progressive Law Center, or that kind of crap, I just say I don't ever want to see this again. Especially the really hateful memes. If they're really hateful memes, if they're funny, they're funny. I mean, funny is funny. I don't give a shit what side of the fence you're on. But if they're really just hateful, really ugly memes, then I'll go right in and say, I don't ever want to see anything from this person that you're following again. And that usually keeps it. I mean, granted, it makes it a little bit of an echo chamber, but I find it makes it easier way to deal with it.
Oh, are you talking like a filter in Facebook, or just literally telling the people?
No, I'm talking about a thing in Facebook. If you bring up Facebook, and you see a friend has they share a link, right? It's called share a link. Well, when you grab let me show you what I mean. So, hold on a minute.
I think I understand. And what
and then you got the three dots at the top. And if you grab the three dots at the top, you can say hey, snooze my buddy for 30 days, unfollow my buddy. But usually there's more options. And if you go down to more options, they'll say, hey, I don't ever want to see anything from, like this guy shared a link from patriotnewsalerts.com. Now that happens to be a conservative tank. And yeah, I don't mind that much. I know the guy's ultra conservative, so it doesn't bother me that much. But I will grab that three dots at the top and I will say, hey, I don't ever want to see this again. And usually I can turn off the person that he linked to, that he shared the link from. And I'll never see it. No matter who tries to put it up, I won't see it.
Well, that seems cool, because then it's not really any kind of, you don't have to even let them know, really. You're just
right. It's no impact on your buddy. It's no impact on the people they're pushing at you. It's pretty nice.
And you don't have to say something. You don't have to you have to instigate nothing. You just do that, and then it's something that you're not bothered with anymore.
Yeah, they don't even get notified. It's great. I love it.
Well, that is kind of nice.
So it's usually when they share a post. Yeah.
That's a great tip. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know of anything like that on Instagram.
I do the same thing with the commercials too. Every once in a while I'll get a commercial I find really offensive, and I'll just say I don't ever want to see this commercial again.
Oh, I do that on Instagram whenever that happens, for sure. Yeah. Let's see. So, my major thing is when people are dropping a bunch of shit on our flag, they throw the flag on a table, throw their crap on it, and try to sell it to you. Depending on who it is, I'll either send them a private one and tell them why I unsubbed or whatever. Also unsub if I don't care, or if it's I don't know, like when it's a big enough place, I'll usually bitch about it on my own channel. But that's usually the only thing that really bothers me, when people are just like perpetuating obliviousness to our flag, or at least respect for it.
Yeah, if it's obvious bullshit, then I just shut them right off, because, I mean, you can tell who the low information posters are. And those are the guys, when they start talking about the 300 school shootings, since the beginning of this year, shit like that, you know that it's not even worth talking to them. So you just shut them right off.
It's also largely dependent on who you're talking to. Like, if it's a friend of mine that I know I can have a discussion with, yeah, I'll comment on it. But if it's one of my friends that I know will be fucking triggered, then I'm not doing that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Some people are doing it to start, not conversation, but argument.
Well, and I've got friends that, they might send me something that's pretty left, they're teasing me, and we have kind of a teasing discussion back and forth, but we already know we're not going to really agree. But, but I'm kind of with Cycle, funny is funny no matter what side you're on.
Yeah. And if they're just yanking your chain, I mean, you gotta appreciate people just yanking your chain. Any of my friends that send me anything about Pelosi or Feinstein or any of that, I know they're just yanking my chain, so I don't worry about it too much.
All right. Well, we got another topic. Just briefly, how to move your live stream over to a podcast. I know people are figuring out how to do the live streams like this, in which there's a bunch of aspects to it. One is we start a hangout and you invite people to it, you have a discussion or whatever, and then it's over. It'll render into a video on YouTube and sit on your channel. So if you want to do more with that, once you've done all the work, really putting together the show and having it great, you can take that and basically download the audio from it. So it's an existing video on your YouTube channel. You can use an app off of the browser, or you can download this software that a bunch of us are using, or you find something else. There's lots of options, but you can pull the audio down to your computer. Now you've got an audio file. Usually they're going to be, let's say, 100 megs per hour, give or take. So you've got a very small file compared to a video file, and that'll be all the audio from your conversation that you just had. And now you can take that audio file and put it up on any number of services that'll take that audio file and turn it into a stream, it's called. So when you put things on the internet, like a photograph or a sound file or a video file, they act differently to the computer, right? You look at a picture, you listen to a sound file, you do both with a video file. It just means technically the internet has to handle them differently. So that means that the places you put those have different names. So when we're talking about putting something like an audio file on the internet so that people can listen, that's called a stream, or that's called a feed. And you can use a service. There's lots of them, Podbeam and Stitcher and others are out there. Clover's had a bunch of discussions about it. Ghost has some videos on how to do it. Other people have explained what they've done. And then there's tons of other videos out there explaining, because it's a pretty generic concept to take your audio files and turn them into a podcast. But hopefully what I did there is explain it to try to make it easier for everybody to figure out that it's really just taking the audio from your video that you've made and then putting that somewhere where it becomes this feed. And then you just attach that feed to iTunes and the other places where podcasts live. So it can be done for free. It can be done for very little money. Or if you don't want to put much effort into learning the how-to, which is not the most extensive thing, but there is something to it, you can pay to not have to do so much of the how-to. So it depends on how interested you are in having stuff out there. Is anybody in here who does live stuff? Has anybody experimented with putting them into streams and sending out on iTunes and to the podcast channels? Hello, Gary.
I haven't. I've never really even considered it.
Now, your format's a little different, but
Yeah, it wouldn't work well for me.
A formatted hour show or something, it's a little easier to, Although there are no rules, so if people start putting up multi-hour podcasts, maybe people would start listening to them. Right now, everybody follows the leader, so Joe Rogan's going to get X amount of time, and everybody else is going to try to mimic.
I've actually thought about it. just another outlet to get the message out there, or, whatever the topic may be for the night. Which anybody watches my channels realizes that sometimes there just is no topic. But normally good things come out of every show. But yeah, I have thought about it. I've considered it. I've not really went in depth in looking into it. So this is interesting to me.
Right on. Well, like I said, I'm not trying to do a step-by-step or anything, just give people the concept, make you think. And like I said, there's lots of resources. Definitely talking to Clover and Ghost would be some people who have been doing it recently. But you can find all kinds of good tutorials on YouTube. All right, so that was our second top, or our behind-the-scenes topics this week. We have a good shop. Let's see. Rhonda's Guns and Ammo in Woodhaven, Michigan. So I wonder who sent us this. It's either going to be Patriot or Taters or Smiggy. Woodhaven. Taters left. So I will screen share here. Is the background noise while them trucks too loud?
I can still hear you.
I think one just pulled up next to me and it's letting its engine run kind of thing. So I don't
Yeah,
know
it's
where
not
Woodhaven is, but this place has been established 2011, so it's 7 years old. It's like they got a bunch of old people on the thing. It's weird that they're not looking at 45s. I wonder if that's Rhonda. $35 transfers. Got a pretty decent website, I guess. Some kind of guns they got for sale. Interesting. Look at their attractions. Closed Monday. Oh, okay. Closed Sunday. 10 to 6. I can take that. And how do we get to the this place is. Oh, it's right by Potatoes. So you don't know this one? You back? Looks like I went right past it. I think I took this road down, so I missed it. All right, well, that's our shop of the day. I don't know who suggested it. It was probably somebody from Michigan, so thanks for that. We try to take a look at new shops every day. It's one of the reasons we call it the Daily Gun Show. And we'll be looking at more. I think I visited 4 new shops this trip, a couple of others that I've been to before. All right, so I guess with that, for about an hour, everybody's not talking. I don't like dead air, so I'm done. So thanks everybody for joining us on the road. Episode 656. We'll be back tomorrow in a different state with a different show and get closer to the Gun Rights Policy Conference. The 33rd year that they've been doing this. Alan Gottlieb started the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, CCKRB. He was 24 years old in 1971. And a couple years later, he started Second Amendment Foundation. Those two organizations have been putting together the Gun Rights Policy Conference. I don't know however long ago it's been, it's 33 years now. And the gun owners' rights groups, and usually nonprofit gun owners' rights groups, get together once a year. They meet up in alternating cities, usually pro-gun or anti-gun. And then for 2 days, the groups will take the stage, either the groups themselves or areas of interest or I don't know, different types of shooters and stuff. They'll take the stage. They'll talk about what they've been doing, what they need, what they see is happening in the future. They'll take questions from the audience. It's usually streamed live last couple of years by the Flight Society podcast, a group of podcasters and writers, bloggers who send the show out live. Charles Haller has been recording the audio from the conference for, I don't know, probably decades. Makes that available. He's always made that available for free on CD-ROM. I know he puts a obscene amount of work into that, making sure it's all edited nice. So you can get audio files from pretty much every single year. Charles has that on his hard drive. And it's a grassroots organization to the T. Like it's what you, what am I trying to say? Like the the example of a grassroots organization, a bunch of people who are interested in specific areas or live in specific areas or working towards specific things like lobbying or judges or bring in lawsuits that are necessary. And it's a time for them to get together and strategize and coordinate. And it's an excellent experience. So if you're ever able to attend one, please do. If you can still get to this one this next weekend in Chicago, still get there. And we'll be talking about it. It sounds like a bunch of us from Gun Channels will be there. And well, that's the show. Anybody got anything going on? Cycle, thanks for jumping in at the end here. Good to see you back. Hoping you had a good time. Maybe you walked away. David, thanks for jumping in. Have you here?
No, I'm here. Yeah, I apologize. I haven't been back in a while because I got home a few weeks ago and then I just been sick as a dog.
Oh, really? Because of the thing or just coincidentally?
No, I caught something on the plane on the way home. And I was running a pretty high fever, and I just got to the point where I'm starting to feel good enough to stay up late at night. So maybe one of these times I'll show you some pictures from the military museum at one of the castles I visited in Norway.
Oh, yeah. Definitely going to be interested in that.
The Akershus castle. Pretty cool. But it turns out the Norwegians don't have any of their own stuff. Everything they got it's either German or American, basically.
Yeah, they either carried it in or they dropped it, one of the two.
Yeah, well, they just didn't have their own manufacturing facilities, you know. So they got a lot of stuff from the Russians, a lot of AKs, a lot of American weapons, you know. Pretty neat stuff, tanks and junk, you know, a lot of fun. And you go there saying, "Oh, great! I'm going to learn all about all these Norwegian guns," and it's like, wait a minute, that's an M1 Garand. Wait a minute, that's a 1903 Springfield. That's a that's an AK. What the hell's going on? You know, this is a Stava M76. You know, it's all kind of.
I'm curious, when you go to a museum over there, are there people in that area that are knowledgeable that can answer all kinds of questions that are into it, or is it, you know, just a thing that they have in the museum and they know?
Not where I was, and in this particular castle, there's actually a working. They do have the museum, but there's also a working division of people there, you know, in another building. So they have real soldiers and shit running around. It's pretty cool. The castle itself expanded. They expanded their grounds, and so now the whole castle grounds includes the other buildings. It's pretty neat.
Sounds cool.
But I didn't go to any more of them after that because I figured it was going to be more of the same. So
that's the kind of thing, yeah, where you never know where there's like some, I don't know, unique thing or whatever. But yeah, they're going to be not quite cookie cutters of each other. They're all going to try to include the same type of stuff, though.
What really surprised me was the Norwegians, because of being part of NATO. They sent guys to like every freaking conflict. They were everywhere. You know, they were in Korea, they were in Vietnam, they were in Guatemala. They were just everywhere.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say just because they were in NATO, they got sent. I mean, there has to be a certain amount of gumption. They wanted, you know, they were willing to do it. They wanted to be there, kind of thing too. You know, they put their hand in the
Yep.
Very cool.
It was pretty cool. You know, never huge numbers of them, you know, hundreds to thousands, but it was just really interesting. Every time you turn around, they had the place set up kind of by which conflict it was, you know. And it's pretty good. They had like a drone hanging from the ceiling, and then they had a couple of mannequins that actually had the remote controls for the drone, you know, over a doorway, and it was kind of neat.
Well, I'm assuming you took good pictures. So
yeah, some of them come out okay. They don't have the good non-reflective glass, and it was really dark. But some of them came out okay.
Well, you'd be surprised. I take a bunch of dark pictures, and with just a wiggle in the finger in Instagram, you can get a lot. And there's some apps, like one called Snapseed, which is amazing. It's everything Photoshop can do, except you just have to wiggle your finger.
Wow.
So Snapseed, and you can bring, because your camera is, you know, 8 megapixels or more. mean, they're taking a lot of information in, so even when it's dark, a little bit of editing can really pop up some, whatever your content is. All right, so David, I haven't been watching. How's the reloading bench going? I'm assuming it's done and you're now reloading.
David's bench is completely done, and he's at the decapping stage. He's ordering his bullets and primers this week, but he's at the cleaning and decapping stage. So he's been cleaning and decapping thousands of rounds of brass and getting ready for reloading, which should be, I think, at the end of this week.
Yeah, everything should be coming G this week. And I didn't know that you were into collecting old ammo boxes. I have an ammo box, a 50 caliber ammo can that I've never seen before, and it's a US, and it doesn't open like the normal ones do where the lids come off like that. It opens from the wide side.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in that. There's ammo boxes have lids and can be resealed. Ammo cans are like a spam can. So like.
Oh, okay. It's an ammo box.
Yeah,
it's an ammo box, but the lid reseals, but it doesn't open at the end like the newer modern ones do. It opens in the middle. I've even being in the military, I've never seen one like this before.
Interesting. What color is it?
It's OD green. It's United States Army, but it's before my time.
Usually, like gray will be Navy, and then white will be inside of a vehicle. So if it's green, then it's something for regular use. Not specific. Yeah, interesting. Take some pictures.
Yeah, I will.
Dead Horse, got anything coming up?
I've just been working on my gun room. I got a sink installed in my gun room now. I got all my studs up. I'm ready to start putting sheeting on the walls. So my gun rooms I just keep chugging along working on that.
No, that sink, some people call it a mop sink, but I would consider that a puppy washing sink. So is that going to get dual use?
That's what I said. That's what I told my wife. My dogs and cats fit perfectly in it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so awesome to be able to wash the dogs out here and stuff and not in the bathtub. And every time we wash the animals, my bathtub drain always clogs, full of hair and stuff. It's just a mess.
Well, even
cat already.
One of them.
I still say you can wash David in that.
Yeah. If they start washing each other, I'm going to quit watching their stuff. But you can. I would still get one of them little filter thingies because you'll still get that hair off the dogs, but you don't have to go down that drain. Gary, anything coming up on the Gizzard channel?
Well, I got the 357 subscriber giveaway going on, so probably towards the end of the week I'll cut that off and we'll get together and figure out which ones are the best 16 or so we can have a bracket, and then one of these nights we'll have a show and pick the winner.
Cool. And then the winner gets a 357. Nice.
Yeah.
So Woods, anything coming up? Still teaching them kids?
Yeah, teaching the kids, week 3.
All right, well, we got taters. Anything coming up on tater tubes?
I don't know. I might be doing one after if Dead Horse isn't doing one.
No, I think we're gonna have a tater tube tonight.
All right, yeah, tater tube.
Sounds good. So anybody that wants to continue chatting after these shows, there's usually something going on in gun channels. Thanks to Taters and Dead Horse and Pink and Knives, Ants every once in a while. So yeah, thanks everybody for dealing with the sporadic and sloppy shows here, but it's life on the road. That's part of the whole thing with the daily gun shows. We want to continue to do stuff, and hopefully we're getting better at it. Got a lot more video this time, Dragon Man, and got lots more stuff coming up. So stay tuned, and see everybody later. Does anybody got a quote?
I know Psycho always has a good quote.
No, I didn't look one up tonight. I've been under the weather, so sorry about that.
I'm going to go to an old standby then. If we ignore gun shows, they will go away.
The guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching gunwebsites.com.